Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're going to be exploring the world of cloud computing and sauce.
Oh, a fascinating topic.
Yeah, and we're diving deep into this book called Artificial Intelligence for Cloud and Edge Computing for Super Networks.
Catchy title?
Right. That's a mouthful. But don't worry, we'll break it all down for you.
Because by the end of this deep dive,
You'll be cloud experts.
exactly.
So first things first, what exactly is cloud computing? I mean, we hear it everywhere, but can you explain it like I'm like 5 years old?
Okay, imagine a library, right? Full of books.
Okay, I like books.
You go there and borrow any book you want.
Yeah,
You don't have to own them all.
makes sense.
Cloud computing is kind of like that.
Uh,
It's this massive network of servers, like a giant digital library,
okay.
where you can access all sorts of resources: computing power, storage, software.
So instead of buying and maintaining all that stuff myself,
You borrow it from the cloud.
pay for what you use.
Exactly.
That's pretty clever, actually. And we're using it all the time without even realizing it, right? Like Netflix, Spotify.
Oh, absolutely. All those streaming services, social media, online gaming.
It's all happening in the cloud.
Pretty much everything digital these days relies on it in some way.
So it's kind of like this invisible force powering our digital lives.
I like that analogy. An invisible force, always working behind the scenes.
But it's not just one big cloud, is it?
No, there are actually different flavors of cloud computing, each with its own strengths and purposes.
Okay, so tell me about these different flavors.
Well, you've got infrastructure as a service,
Yeah.
or IS.
Yes.
Then there's platform as a service, or PaaS.
Process. Got it.
And the one we're focusing on today, software as a service, or SaaS.
So you're telling me the cloud is like a multi-tiered cake?
Kind of, yeah. Each layer builds on the one below it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But before we dive into those different layers, I have to admit, when I hear IS and PaaS, my brain kind of freezes.
It can be a bit jargony, for
Yeah,
sure.
right. So can you break those down for me in simple terms? Like, what are they and what makes them different?
Sure. So with a FIAS, imagine you need like a powerful computer to run some complex calculations.
Okay.
Instead of buying that computer yourself, which can be expensive,
And takes up space.
exactly. With IS, you basically rent that computing power from a company like Amazon Web Services.
Okay, so IS is like borrowing a supercomputer
You got it. You get the raw computing power and storage you need.
without the hassle of setting up and maintaining your own hardware.
Precisely. You're just paying for what you use.
Makes sense. So what about Pius? Where does that fit in?
Think of Pius as the next level up. It's not just about raw computing power. It's about providing you with the tools and environment to build and run your own applications.
So it's like a virtual workshop for developers.
Exactly. Pius platforms like Heroku or Google App Engine give you everything you need to build, test, and deploy your software.
Without having to worry about all the underlying infrastructure.
Exactly. It takes care of all the complex stuff like servers, operating systems, databases.
So passes sounds pretty convenient for developers. But why would a company choose that over IS? I mean, isn't it better to have complete control over your own systems?
Well, it really depends on their needs and priorities. IS offers maximum control and flexibility.
But it also requires more technical expertise to manage.
Exactly. Whereas PaaS prioritizes speed and ease of development.
So it's a trade-off. More control versus more convenience.
Exactly. And sometimes that convenience is crucial, especially for startups or companies that want to launch their applications quickly.
Makes sense. But regardless of which model they choose, the cloud is ultimately about making businesses more agile, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just about agility. It's about accessibility, scalability, and even cost effectiveness.
Okay, so we've established that the cloud has been a major disruptor in the tech world,
Oh, yeah.
democratizing technology, empowering businesses of all sizes.
Totally agree.
But let's zoom in on sauce now. This is the software we interact with every day, right?
That's right. Your email, your CRM, your project management tools.
Even the tools we're using to record this deep dive.
Exactly. SaaS is everywhere, and it's revolutionizing the way we work and live.
Okay, so paint me a picture. What are the specific advantages of SaaS that make it so revolutionary? What makes it stand out from traditional software?
Well, one of the biggest advantages is scalability.
Scalability.
Yeah, it's like imagine your business suddenly takes off and you need to add more users to your project management app.
Okay.
With traditional software, that could be a nightmare. You'd have to buy more licenses, install them on new computers.
That's a whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with SaaS, you just adjust your subscription.
Like click a button and boom, more users.
Pretty much. Your IT infrastructure can grow and shrink as needed.
That sounds incredibly convenient.
It is. And this convenience extends to accessibility as well.
Accessibility, you mean like being able to work from anywhere?
Exactly. With
Yeah.
SaaS, you can access your data and applications from any device, anywhere in the world, as long as you have an internet connection.
Oh, yeah, that's a game changer.
It is. Remember the days of lugging around those heavy laptops and worrying about file transfers?
Oh, the struggle.
With SaaS, it's all seamless. You just log in and you're good to go.
That's true freedom right there.
It is. And let's not forget about cost effectiveness.
Oh, yeah, because I'm guessing those expensive software licenses we talked about earlier are a thing of the past with SaaS?
You got it. Instead of buying software up front, you pay a monthly or annual subscription fee.
So it's like swapping out that expensive cable package for a streaming service.
Perfect analogy.
Hmm.
You only pay for what you use, and it makes budgeting so much easier.
Plus, I'm imagining IT departments everywhere are rejoicing because they don't have to deal with those constant software updates and installations anymore.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
With SaaS, updates happen automatically in the background.
You're always running the latest, most secure version.
It's a win-win for everyone.
So it sounds like SaaS has really shaken up the software industry. Did traditional software companies just roll over and accept this new reality?
Well, some adapted, some struggled. It was a classic case of disruption, forcing those giants to rethink their entire business models.
Survival of the fittest, digital edition.
Exactly. And in a way, SaaS has leveled the playing field, making it possible for smaller, more agile companies to compete with the established players.
It's like the David and Goliath story of the tech world.
I like that.
Yeah.
And this evolution is far from over.
Oh. What's next for SaaS?
The future is brimming with possibilities. Think about the integration of AI and machine learning.
AI-powered software.
Exactly. Software that can learn your preferences, anticipate your needs.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. We're also seeing the development of industry-specific SaaS solutions, tailored to the unique needs of different sectors.
So it's getting more personalized.
Exactly. Whether you're in healthcare, finance, education, there's a SaaS solution designed specifically for you.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a new era of software. More intuitive, more efficient, more powerful.
Absolutely. But hold on. Before we get too carried away with all this excitement,
Is it?
there are also challenges to consider. Risks that come with relying so heavily on third-party provider.
Oh, right. We can't just ignore the potential downsides.
Exactly. But we'll delve into those in our next segment. For now, I'm curious. Think about all these amazing advancements in SaaS.
Yeah.
Which trend excites you the most?
That's a tough one. I'm fascinated by the potential of AI, but also the idea of specialized solutions.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but definitely exciting. Okay, deep divers, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be tackling the challenges of SaaS head on.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back. All right, deep divers, welcome back. So we've talked about all the amazing things SaaS can do, but let's be real.
Yeah, there are definitely some challenges to consider.
Exactly. No tech is perfect, right? So what are some of the potential downsides of relying on SaaS? What should businesses be aware of?
Well, one of the biggest concerns, and rightfully so, is security.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When you're entrusting your data to a third-party provider, you want to be absolutely sure it's protected.
Right. Especially with all those high-profile data breaches we keep hearing about.
Exactly. It's a valid concern. So businesses need to be extremely diligent when choosing a SaaS provider.
So it's not just about picking the cheapest option or the one with the coolest features.
No, not at all. You need to look for providers with a proven track record of security and compliance.
What does that look like, practically speaking?
Well, for starters, check if they have certifications like ISO 27001 or SOC 2.
Okay, and those basically mean?
They're like stamps of approval from independent auditors, showing that the provider meets certain security standards.
So it's like a security seal of approval.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask tough questions about their data encryption methods, access controls, and how they handle incidents if a breach does occur.
So it's really about doing your homework, right?
Absolutely. Don't just take their word for it. Verify their credentials, understand their security measures.
Okay, so due diligence is key. But even with the most secure provider, can't things still go wrong? I mean, no system is foolproof, right?
You're right, there's always some level of risk. That's why it's essential to have a multi-layered security approach.
Okay, what does that entail?
Well, on your end, that means implementing strong passwords, enabling multi-factor authentication, and educating your employees about things like phishing scams.
So it's a shared responsibility. The provider has to have strong security measures in place, but companies also need to play that part.
Exactly. Everyone needs to be vigilant and proactive.
Okay, that makes sense. But security isn't the only challenge, right? What about vendor lock-in? That's something I've always wondered about.
Ah, yes, the dreaded vendor lock-in.
It sounds a bit scary, to be honest.
It can be. It's basically when you become so reliant on a single sauce provider that it's difficult or costly to switch to a different one.
So you're kind of stuck, even if you're not happy with their service or pricing.
Exactly. You're at their mercy, which can be a risky position to be in.
Okay, so how can businesses avoid falling into that trap?
Well, one important thing is to prioritize data portability.
Data portability.
Yeah, make sure you can easily export your data from the sauce platform if you need to.
So if you decide to switch providers, you can take your data with you.
Exactly. Without that, you're essentially handing over your valuable data and hoping for the best.
That's a good point. What else can businesses do?
Another smart move is to negotiate exit clauses in your contracts.
Exit clauses.
Yeah, basically clauses that allow you to terminate the agreement without penalty if certain conditions aren't met.
So it's like having an escape hatch if things go sour.
Exactly. It gives you more leverage and flexibility.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the practicalities of integrating SaaS solutions into existing systems? I imagine that can be a real headache, especially for companies with legacy infrastructure.
You're absolutely right. Integration can be a major challenge.
It's like trying to fit puzzle pieces from different sets together.
That's a good analogy.
Uh,
And sometimes those pieces just don't want to cooperate.
So, what can companies do to make this integration process smoother? Are there any magic solutions?
Well, no magic wands, unfortunately. But there are tools and strategies that can help.
Like what?
Application programming interfaces, or APIs, are essential.
APIs.
Yeah, they basically allow different software systems to talk to each other.
So they act like translators between different applications.
Exactly. There's also middleware, which can help smooth out the rough edges of integration.
So it's about having the right tools and I'm guessing a well thought out plan.
Absolutely. Planning is crucial. You need to map out your integration strategy before you start plugging things in.
Otherwise, it's just going to be a mess.
Exactly.
Well,
But even with the best planning and the right tools, technical glitches can still happen.
oh, right, because ultimately with SaaS, you're relying on someone else's infrastructure.
Exactly. Your applications are hosted on their servers. You're dependent on their internet connection.
So what happens if their systems go down? Or if there's a network outage?
That's where service level agreements, or SLAs, come into play.
SLAs, those sound important.
They are. They're basically contracts that outline the provider's guaranteed uptime, performance metrics, and support response times.
So it's like a promise from the provider that their systems will be up and running smoothly.
Exactly. And if they don't meet those standards, there are usually penalties involved.
So it gives businesses some recourse if things go wrong.
Exactly. But even with SLAs, unforeseen circumstances can still happen.
Like what?
Well, natural disasters, cyber attacks, even simple human error can disrupt service availability.
So it's important to have backup plans, right?
Absolutely. What happens if your primary SaaS provider experiences an outage? Do you have a backup solution? Can you access critical data offline? These are all things to consider.
It sounds like successfully adopting SaaS requires a lot of planning, diligence, and maybe even a little bit of paranoia.
Well, maybe not paranoia, but definitely a healthy dose of caution. But let's not forget all the amazing benefits we discussed earlier. SaaS has the power to truly transform businesses, making them more agile, efficient, and competitive.
It's a powerful tool, but like any tool, it needs to be used wisely and responsibly.
Exactly. The key is to be aware of the potential challenges and take proactive steps to mitigate them.
So it's all about weighing the risks and rewards. But I'm curious, have you personally encountered any of these challenges when using SaaS applications in your own work?
Oh, absolutely. Integration challenges are an ongoing puzzle,
Right.
especially ensuring that different platforms can talk to each other seamlessly.
Right, because the last thing you want is your data getting lost in translation.
Exactly. And security is a constant priority, of course, staying up to date on the latest threats and vulnerabilities.
It sounds like a lot to keep track of.
It is. And yes, we've definitely had our share of moments where performance issues have caused headaches.
So it's an ongoing learning experience, constantly adapting to new challenges and opportunities.
It certainly is. But that's also what makes it so exciting. The cloud computing landscape is constantly evolving, and we're all learning as we go.
Now, I know we've focused heavily on the business aspects of SaaS, but I'm also curious about its broader impact on society. How is this technology shaping our lives beyond the workplace?
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that SaaS isn't just about businesses, it's about people.
Right. It's about how we connect with each other, how we access information, how we entertain ourselves.
Exactly. Think about the social media platforms we use, the streaming services we subscribe to, even the fitness trackers we wear on our wrists.
They're all powered by saws.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's become so ingrained in our daily routines that we often don't even realize it.
It's like the air we breathe. We don't think about it, but we can't live without it.
That's a good way to put it. And this pervasive influence raises some interesting questions.
Like what?
Well, how is SaaS shaping our perceptions of privacy, for example, or our sense of control over our own data?
Right. And how is it impacting our social interactions and relationships?
Those are all important questions to consider, because ultimately the conversation around SaaS goes beyond the technical aspects.
It touches on our values, our ethics, and our vision for the future.
Exactly. As SaaS continues to evolve and integrate into every aspect of our lives, it's crucial that we think about its broader societal implications.
Because this technology is not just shaping our tools, it's shaping our world.
You've hit the nail on the head,
Hmm.
and that's a powerful thought to keep in mind as we move forward.
It is. So, before we dive into some specific examples of how sauce is being used in different industries, I think it's worth pausing for a moment and acknowledging that we're not just passive consumers of technology, but we're active participants in its development and evolution.
Agreed.
The choices we make, the values we prioritize, these all shape the direction technology takes.
Well said. So with that in mind, let's explore some real-world applications of SaaS and see how this technology is changing the game in various fields.
Let's do it. Okay, deep divers, we're back, and I am ready to see saws in action.
Let's do it. Where do you want to start?
Well, we touched on drones earlier.
Ah, yes. The flying marvels of the modern age.
Exactly. They're everywhere these days, delivering packages, filming movies, inspecting bridges.
They're transforming so many industries.
But where does sauce fit into all of this?
Think about the data.
Data.
Yeah, drones collect tons of it. Images, sensor readings, GPS coordinates.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
someone has to make sense of all that data.
Right.
That's where cloud computing, and specifically SaaS, comes in.
So it's like the drones are the eyes in the sky, and sauce is the brain that analyzes what they see.
Perfect analogy.
Sure.
SaaS platforms process that raw data, turn it into actionable
Okay.
insights.
Give me an example.
Sure. Imagine a farmer using a drone to survey their crops.
Oh, okay.
The drone captures images of the field,
Uh-huh.
but instead of just looking at pretty pictures, the farmer uploads that data to a SaaS platform.
Yeah.
The platform analyzes the images, identifies areas where crops are struggling, detects signs of disease or pests.
Wow. So the farmer gets real-time insights into the health of their crops.
Exactly. And they can use that information to make more informed decisions about irrigation, fertilization, pest control.
That's amazing. It's like taking precision agriculture to a whole new level.
It is. And this applies to so many other fields, too. Think about infrastructure inspections.
Oh, right. Like using drones to check power lines, pipelines, wind turbines.
Exactly. Instead of sending humans into potentially dangerous situations, companies can use drones to collect visual data.
And that data is then analyzed by SaaS platforms to identify any potential problems.
Precisely. Cracks, corrosion, damage. The software can flag it all.
It's like having a digital eye constantly monitoring critical infrastructure.
And it's not just about efficiency and safety, it's about preventing disasters.
That's a good point. Catching problems early can save a lot of trouble down the line.
Absolutely. And think about emergency response situations.
Oh, right. I've seen those videos of drones helping firefighters and search and rescue teams.
Exactly. Drones equipped with thermal imaging can help locate hotspots in a burning building or find missing hikers in dense forests.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It is, and it's all made possible by the combination of drones, 5G connectivity, and cloud-based data analysis.
It really does feel like we're living in the future sometimes.
We are. In many ways, technology is advancing at an incredible pace.
Okay, so we've seen how SaaS is transforming industries like agriculture and infrastructure management. But you also mentioned secure mobile communication earlier. What are some real-world examples of SaaS making a difference in that area?
Well, think about how much sensitive information we send through our phones every day.
Oh, yeah. Financial transactions, private messages, health data.
Exactly. Protecting that information is crucial, and that's where a specific type of cloud computing comes in. Edge computing.
Edge computing. Remind me how that works again.
Sure, so traditionally, data was sent to a central server for processing.
Right.
But with edge computing, the processing happens closer to the data source, often on local servers or even on the device itself.
Okay, and what's the advantage of that?
Well, it reduces latency, meaning faster response times.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
Because the data doesn't have to travel as far.
exactly. And it also enhances security by minimizing data travel.
So it's like having a bodyguard for your data, keeping it safe and secure right at the edge of the network.
I like that. A digital bodyguard. And this is especially important for mobile communication, where speed and security are paramount.
Give me an example.
Sure. Imagine a healthcare app that transmits real-time patient data to doctors.
Okay.
With edge computing, that data can be processed and analyzed right there on the patient's device or at a nearby server.
So there's no delay in getting that information to the doctor.
Exactly. And it also minimizes the risk of that sensitive data being intercepted during transmission.
That makes sense. And it's not just about individual communications, right?
No, not at all. Edge computing is being used to create secure collaboration platforms for law enforcement, emergency services.
Oh, wow.
They can share information in real time, coordinate operations, all while ensuring that sensitive data is protected.
It's like having a high-tech command center for public safety.
Exactly. And this is just one example of how SaaS is being used to create secure communication solutions across various industries.
It's amazing to see how this technology is evolving and adapting to meet these critical needs.
It is. And it's not just about security and efficiency, it's also about improving people's lives.
Right. We talked about healthcare earlier.
Uh,
It seems like sauce is really making a difference in that field.
Absolutely. We're seeing a whole wave of innovation in healthcare, driven by cloud computing and SaaS.
Like what?
Well, telemedicine is just the tip of the iceberg. There are mobile health apps that track your fitness goals, remind you to take your medications, even connect you with a therapist.
It's like having a personal health assistant in your pocket.
Exactly. And these apps rely on the cloud to store your data, provide personalized insights, and connect you with healthcare professionals.
It's incredible how technology is making healthcare more accessible and convenient.
It is. And it's not just about convenience. It's about empowering patients to take control of their own health.
Right. And giving doctors the tools they need to provide better care.
Exactly. And as the cloud continues to evolve, we can only expect to see even more groundbreaking innovations in healthcare.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from the basic concepts of cloud computing to real-world applications that are transforming industries and improving lives.
It's been quite a journey. And it's clear that cloud computing, and SaaS in particular, is having a profound impact on our world.
It is. But as we embrace this cloud-powered future, it's important to remember that technology is a tool.
A powerful tool.
Exactly. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
We need to use it wisely and responsibly, always keeping in mind the ethical implications.
Absolutely. So, deep divers, as we wrap up this episode, we want to leave you with a final thought. Reflect on how cloud computing and SaaS are impacting your own life.
What are your hopes and concerns about this technology?
What role do you want to play in shaping its future?
Because the future of SaaS, and of technology in general, is not predetermined.
It's a future we are all shaping together.
Through the choices we make, the values we prioritize.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the possibilities.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.